Good evening. Welcome back again. And tonight we are talking about the role of the media in guaranteeing constitutionalism. Absent the media, what do we have? The information that we process, the information that we gather can help shape ideas, insights, and perhaps knowledge about what is in the marketplace. How best can the media be used to promote constitutionalism? How best can the individual actors communicate better so that there is space to find each other? What would be the role of the media in a divided, polarized, and partisan ecosystem? Do you think the media has any role? If it does, how do we celebrate, how best do we celebrate the role of the media? Who in the media do you look up to? In the case of Zimbabwe, just on Zimbabwe, what is it that is required to celebrate and promote the role of the media in telling the stories as they should be told, or facts as they are, and not what they should be? Earlier on, I was talking to Simbashi Kanza, who was as concerned as anyone that we had a show in which he was not present, was not given an opportunity to respond. And he did ventilate his own views about what happened when we had a show with Mr. Komichi. I did respond, and I raised my own concerns. And some of those concerns relate to impartiality, objectivity, and independence. And he did respond that his main concern is located around the events of 1st August 2018, where innocent people were shot, were killed. And he understands the role of the government, saying that this happened under the watch of people in government, and there has been no accountability even after the commission. He said he is not related to Nelson Chamisa in any way, and is not an active member of the MDC. Nyakonda, good evening. I expect non-propaganda journalism. We all do that. We all expect the same. But what is propaganda journalism? What does it look like? The people who may be perceived by others to be agents of propaganda or promoters of propaganda, they may not even know what it is that they are expected to do. Because when society is divided, what follows is that people will invariably be divided as well. How can you be independent when the subjects you cover are not independent? Is it possible? Is it attainable? If so, what are your views? How best do we secure this promise of non-propaganda media when we, the subjects, are really champions of partisan perspectives, partisan ideas, partisan outlooks? So how do we build a society based on a promise that we have never negotiated? And how best do we negotiate that promise? If we need unbiased, independent news. What do we need to do to secure it? Are we prepared to change the dogmas that inform most of our views, where we don't see eye to eye on basic and fundamental issues? How best we then proceed when nobody knows what standard to follow? What is it that needs to happen? Somebody who is funding Komichi Monzora and Kupe? A valid question. I'm not sure what makes them tick, but I guess that is what we can ask them. And Komichi was here. The more he comes here, the more people think there's a project between me and him, and they think I am poking my nose too much into the affairs of a private institution. So I guess you can raise that question: who is them? Who should be funding them? Who finances political parties? Maybe a general discussion about political of these institutions. How are they? Those guys who are getting contracts today from the government, do you think that they would sit by and allow the government of the day that is doing good by them to then suddenly evaporate? Are they making state power so seductive, so attractive, that actually nobody wants to leave power? That is called Mao Disco Amawere. I don't know what is this. Mao Disco Amawere. I don't know what is disco, but I'm not in disco. But what we need is to be able to talk about. Do we need Komichi to come back, and to what end? He has already been here twice. And do we really need to bring him back, or we need to assess what he had so far, digest it? If it's the judgment, who best can report what is at stake? Do we have members of the media that can report news as news, or they report it using the lenses of the few people that they interact with? How best do we get the members of the media to rise above our own limitations, our own bias? And there are people who believe they alone know better what kind of Zimbabwe they want to see. They have no other basis to look at views, to look at perspectives, and find a common ground. You say, okay, the video quality is bad. I guess it's a room that I am in. Perhaps that is the reason. The lights, maybe they are dim. I should have enhanced the light. But here we are. If you can hear me, my voice, the audio is perhaps the better guide. I won't change the way I look because I'm on this platform. But I do hope that those who can hear me, they can contribute what they think should be. I don't think we need a lot of panelists on hot issues like the one you had last night. That's Stanford. Sometimes the more the merrier, the more views you have, the merrier. Then my voice may be boring to many. So I can then, the idea is I shouldn't be here. And the people in the media that I had called to be here, again, they are not promised. We said we started 9 o'clock, but it's 9 o'clock, but they are not here. That tells you something about our problem, that the members of the profession are not willing to be grilled by you, so that the quality of is something that you can work on. So somebody says the the link is not working. I'm not sure whether it's not working or not. But let me just resend to the people that I had sent it to earlier, and check whether they have received it, and whether they can join us, because it's always important that we hear from others and that we all find a way of negotiating difficult issues. Nobody can say we are not divided. And no rational person can say that any one of us has a better sense of where things should go. Because if any one of us had it, we would know where to get it. But the country has a lot of people who are groping in the darkness like all of us, trying to make sense of some of the things that are happening on a daily basis. How best do we build this culture of civility, culture of building bridges, culture of, and can the media help when we are helpless ourselves? Is there salvation? Do you see the situation being salvaged? A judgment brings a lot of positive and negative sentiments. But how best can we use what we have to be able to test further whether constitutionalism is alive and well in Zimbabwe? Who should do that? Who should take the lead? There are many people who would rather be on the sidelines of history and do nothing, but expect others to be the face and the voices of what needs to happen. How best can we build this system that we normally point fingers to, so that inside it, many of us can find expression of the ideas, the opportunities, the potential that we see, but because of the divisions that we recognize and accept, we may never see. There are many people who want to see Zimbabwe as a silo where they alone belong to, and they are the ones who must know better, and that they have a better claim on what it is that needs to happen. Even if you were to look at corruption, where do you start? There are some people who point fingers without facts, expect to be heard, expect action to take place, but without ourselves sitting back and members of our communicators, how best this communication can be shared, can be carried. Where do we go for wisdom? Where do we go for understanding? Where is the address? Who knows better? And why do we think when we talk about institutions, how do they become accountable? when we are the first to excuse our friends, even if they go over the line, we still surrender to a situation where we are saying, if it's my jockey can never be wrong, must always be correct. How best build the space for conversations, not for mandates, not for commands, but just to talk about what it is that is needed to be done, by whom, when, how, where, and why should the people we expect to do the things that ourselves get the time, the passion to substitute others. Where do we go for wisdom? Where is it to be found? Who among us has lived life before living it, so that they can take others where they've been before? Do we all live life in the real sense, in the real time? Or some live life for others? They substitute others. They control millions, tend to control millions of sovereign human beings. How is it that we can invest in normalcy, that we all treat each other as equal, and go back to the beginning of time? If the Creator wanted us to be unequal, others to be leaders, why didn't He just anoint them? Why have democracy? Why have elections? Why have checks and balances? If the consequence of that human engineering is that we blindly follow others and think those we follow are little gods, and we have no other choice but to follow them. Why is it polarized? We are divided on what matters, whether it's to report on anything. Imagine, I wanted to write a story about tonight. Where do I start? Those who say they will come at 9 o'clock are not here, and it's 17 minutes after 9. And you wonder, why is it that we are not where we should be? Be able to call them to establish what is it that has happened, and we all may discover that actually there is something that has happened, and what was promised is no longer possible. And we have to adjust to the reality that only one person against others becomes the person who speaks. And we take for granted that it's okay, be the admin of a WhatsApp group. You become admin, then by default, you automatically, as Akele says, there is no volume. Is that correct? Is there no sound? Hello? Is there no sound? No sound. Gandhi says there is sound. Sabina says there is sound. There is sound. So those who can't hear me, please check your sound system. So let's try Tinashe Jonas. And here it may be a data problem. And we think we are all okay. Charles Mzimba, the role of the media. Where shall we go to get the media that we want? Where shall we go to get the voices we need to speak on what matters to us? And who shall be the leader? And who shall be the follower? Earlier on, I was talking to somebody who was saying, Mr. Mawela, I want, what are you doing in the WhatsApp groups that you are? I said, if you knew the politics of the WhatsApp groups, you would understand me better. A group was set up under the banner rule of law versus rule of men. Some people who joined it, they wanted to call it Chamisa Group. So they wanted to discuss things they are comfortable with. So like many, I left the group. Then people inbox me to say, set up another one. I said, why don't you set it up yourself? Then I will follow so that I don't have the recognition of trying to set up little countries going nowhere. But I'll promise you, if we set it up, I will be there. And I also market it in my network to see whether people join. And somebody, I said, let's make everybody admin. Some people protested. They said, you must be the admin. And I said, if I become the admin, then it means I have the power to remove people, and I don't want that power. I think we're all sovereign, and we can be self-regulating. Little did I know that one of the chaps removed me as well, and removed others as well. And those who were removed, just speaking their minds, again approached me. Can you set up another one? I said, no, I'm tired. I don't want to be an admin. Because if we can set up a group and we can't self-regulate, that group is not worth it. So can you organize? So reluctantly, I set it up yesterday, and so far it's functioning. And they said, please don't give admin rights to people you don't know. I said, I would rather be in a group where I don't know anybody than in a group where I know everybody. Then there's no democracy. People who would hear differently from what I'm saying because they don't like me or they don't like what I may have to say. And this is life. There are people who, when they see the rule of law and they see me talking about it, they already see me dissing their preferred candidate or person. So it means the best way not to do something is to do nothing. So even when I'm here, just talking to you, Mr. Dewa Mavinga, I tried to call him. He said he's going to call me back, and I only see him alive and well on the show. But imagine we had spoken earlier. It means I will not be speaking alone. There are other people who enjoy to hear me speaking to myself, but are not prepared to make tomorrow a better day because they have a stake in it. They have invested in it, and the harvest will be inclusive of their own effort. No one is indispensable. All of us are dispensable. How do we build a society when others push others to become only to point fingers at them if they don't do what they want you to do or they want them to do? They say, let's bring experts. When you bring experts, they don't come, they never arrive. Apologies, I was on a conference call. What is the topic? The topic is about constitutionalism. How do we report it? How do we democratize it, Mr. Mavinga? What topic do you want? Instead of asking me what is the topic, what if I don't have a topic? All I want is conversations that provoke others to think differently about the things that they hold dear to them. Things that may take them off the comfort zones. So they don't look at me as a person who is campaigning for one particular outcome. Because if they see me with Mavinga, if I call Chamisa, he won't respond. If I call President Mnangagwa, they won't come here. Because they believe they know what 2 million people look like. I don't have 2 million people. I'm not looking for a following. I'm just saying the absence of quality journalism, the absence of quality thought process, critical thinking, positive thinking, all of us, not to ask anybody, where are you going? Like George Washington, the general, everybody would come to him and say, Mr. President, can you do this for me? He says, I can't. Can you tell me what the future of America looks like? He says, I have no clue. And he was so embarrassed, like Mandela, meeting people, expecting so much from one individual. And yet he knew he was a person of flesh, walking on the same ground that we walk on. And he had no answers because the people felt that they had elected him, they owned him, and he had to deliver. And he was lonely as a president. People looking at him and saying, you are the chosen one. Now be the Messiah. Take us to the promised land. He says, I don't even know where the promised land is. And that is a president who once lived, was powerful, some people thought, but he was powerless to change society. He was just human. And what he wrote was instructive. Does anyone want to know what George Washington said about his role as a president? Does anyone want to know? I may continue to be speaking, making stories, telling stories, and people are sleeping on the wheel. So let's have some life there. Is anyone interested in understanding George Washington's philosophy on leadership? on what it means to be misunderstood, what it means to be called president by people who have never been president, what it means to have expectations that are not aligned to reality, what it means to be powerful and powerless. Does anyone want to know what this individual thought? Because he was a president, and I am no president. I have no wisdom to know what I don't know. Come back and open Shabani Mine, Ziwaishe. Where have you been living, Ziwaishe? There is a law in Zimbabwe, Ziwaishe, that started as a statutory instrument, went to parliament, and parliament rubber-stamped it. It's called the Reconstruction of State Indebted Insolvent Companies Act. If you knew about it, you would not be asking this question. And that's why I get tired. Because I'm asked the same question, not knowing the same government that you have is the one that decides who should be an investor in Zimbabwe. Then you ask the victim, come back, as if you send me out. I left Zimbabwe in 1988. I didn't run away from anything. But there are people who have invested in actually creating this lie and giving it a life. That I am a fugitive. I was a fugitive. And this is the kind of tragedy that we have in Zimbabwe, that I can throw mud on you. The public is so gullible that they'll take anything, absorb anything, as long as it comes from the newspaper. That falsehood acquires a different life. How have we surrendered to this minimalistic position that allows us to believe anything? If someone says you are corrupt, then there's an echo. That echo becomes the real voice. The voice of ghosts becomes the reality in motion. How did we get to this? And the men and women in the media, they celebrate that kind of nonsense. Why don't you take politics? I've just told you that politics is not a profession. You don't write exam to be a politician. There are no standards. It's not like soccer. When you know who is offside, there's a referee. Why do you think politics is the answer to illiteracy? Why can't we just talk and provoke each other, George, without giving others a profession? I'm not applying for a job here. Hello? How are you?
I'm doing well. I think I'm having network issues today.
Okay. You may not be the only one in Zimbabwe.
Oh, some other people are having challenges.
When you have COVID, then you must always know better that anything is possible, including a voluntary lockdown.
Because I've never witnessed that. It looks like we are having connectivity issues.
Or I spoke to Jabulo earlier,
Uh-huh.
and he did inform me that there is an initiative to promote
Uh-huh.
the writing and distribution of content that is constitutionally centric.
Okay.
That there's a recognition that constitutionalism and the rule of law is an elephant in the room, and that people ought to be able to negotiate.
Mm-hmm.
And he also said that I had written something, or I'm a cartoonist. There's a cartoon circulating around with my name in it, yet I'm not a cartoonist.
Interesting.
Yeah. So, do you want to say anything about your own perspective? And today you are representing who, by the way?
Zimbabwe online content creators. I'll be live already.
Live, because we're already live when you phoned.
Oh, okay. Nice. I wasn't fully aware and quite sure, but yeah. Thank you so much for the opportunity and the time to have me on the platform. Pleasure is all mine, Mr. Maren.
So this online content producers association, how do I become a member?
We call it ZOCO, Zimbabwe Online Content Creators. So that's
content. So these are creators or
content creators.
Or manufacturers of content.
Yes, I think we're better known as just as series or content creators.
Yeah, what is a content creator?
I think basically it's anyone who creates content for the purposes of publishing online. You could be a journalist, you could be an animator, you could be your cartoon characters, your graphics guys, or your vloggers, or those who push content via videos. So all these are people that fall under the content creators. So this is the banner that then hosts them as dog.
So these are individuals or an alliance of organizations.
We actually both. You can actually be a member through your various media organizations. Also, we encourage individual membership because we fully understand
Okay, yeah, so maybe we can go into the content creators, or you can go ahead. Sorry, we had lost the signal. Hopefully we are back now. So
I can hear you loud.
Yeah, so
loud and clear.
Yeah, you can go ahead now.
Yes, so I was saying basically it's a voluntary association of independent content creators, private media houses, and individuals, be it in your personal capacity or also you're coming through from the media house that you represent. So this is a voluntary association where we have independent players coming through mainly on a self-regulation task, but the vision and the whole idea is to create content that is ethical, truthful, and factual, so that online content creation. I think many a times we are always seen and observed as peddlers of false or probably maybe sensationalized news. So we do have a real task to try and make sure that we regularize the sector and people take us seriously as well as content creators.
Okay, and how many members do you have?
Am I still there?
Hello, how many members do you have so far?
Officially, we're at 103. The last time I checked the register, we were at 103. 103 members, active members that are in support of this same cause.
Okay, so that's a big number.
It is a big number, but we want it to be bigger and better, especially not just in terms of quantity, but also in terms of quality, so that people really get to understand what we stand for and what we're here for. I think one of the biggest issues that we have done so far was to have some meetups that we had in our first year of creation, because this is officially our third year since the association was formed, where we created what we called our digital media code of conduct. This is where each and every single member abides to that digital code of conduct.
Okay. Are you satisfied that the online content creators are up to the task of delivering the promise of a media that speaks to a divided nation?
Definitely, I think we are there to play that critical role to make sure that we inform factually and fairly in a highly polarized environment where someone has to be either here or there, but we should be neither under normal circumstances. But it has been a real big challenge that we all face as various media houses. But it's all about media excellence and perfection of the craft to make sure that each and every single individual member there remains within the expected and we do a job that is factual and within our ethics.
All right. So when you look at yourselves as 103 members, as individuals, who stands out in your team? Do you measure, or are you trying to build standards so that you can measure those who excel and celebrate them, and those who spread fake news also expose them?
You asked a very important question, which needs to be answered separately and differently. I think the first issue is who stands out. We are not in any competition to see or find out who really stands out. But I remember we are coming as independent media houses and practitioners who all in all together we have got different tasks and expectations. Some people they have a craft in entertainment, some they're in soccer, some they're in women issues, some are purely arts based. So we don't speak from a perspective of who stands out. We speak from a perspective of are we informing, educating factually, and ethically, so that we perfect the craft. Because we've always been a victim to say, well, if it's coming from an online platform, it's highly likely to be fake and uncredible. So this is a jacket that we need to work against, so that people see and respect the crafts as a professional media player. So that has been one of the major challenges that we've been working on. Try and make that sector is perfectly molded. The second issue now, this is a bigger challenge for fake news. I want to believe that at a certain point in time, almost each and every one of us may have felt victim of fake news. Some willfully, some unknowingly. Whereby you discover that as a responsible media house, you had published information that does not factually stand to be true, and you have to abide to certain ethics to make sure that you retract, you correct the statement, and you should always give the right of response if there's any affected party as far as this craft is all concerned. So that becomes a major challenge then when we also have sensationalization of news and paid or falsehoods or fake news. When that happens, there are internal systems and mechanisms that are used, and we need to make sure that whosoever does that is fully cautioned and warned against such. But if we then understand that that's how some certain people thrive, they immediately cease. Because the reason why we are where we are right now is the trust of the association is to make sure that we fight fake news. So we can't be the same association fighting fake news and we've got members that thrive on the same issue. One of the top issues that we're going to be seeing very soon is we're going to be having page numbers. Each and every ethical content creator will have a page ID on their website that says website XYZ has got a page ID 452. That means that this person is factual media house. If they don't have that, it simply means that we do not trust what they're saying, or they are not a member of us. So we are trying to also have a pride whereby people can then come back and say, you know what, I'm a member of ZOC. That means I'm ethical, I'm truthful, and I'm factual. Because these are our guiding points.
All right. And in terms of remuneration career, is online content a career that you for a friend or enemy?
I don't remember recommending any to an enemy, but definitely it is something that I think to a friend or to a would-be up and online content creator. It's definitely a lucrative business where we have got more than half of our members trading and thriving solely on that. It's a full-time business for more than half of our membership. So yes, it's a thriving industry. But one of the issues that they need to learn and that we've been teaching as well is making sure that we train and we expose our members to various issues as far as content creation is concerned. And topical among these issues is how do you then monetize your blog? How do you monetize your content? And how do you monetize your trust so that it becomes a sustainable business model that we are all running? So it is very much key. And trust me, very soon it is going to be one of the most profitable content revenue generation model that most of us are going to be using. I've got full confidence in this because this is the way each and every single media house is going, and we are already many steps in. So I have got all the confidence to believe that this is the right way of going.
All right. So if I'm out there, how do I get to know about you?
Sorry, I just got a little bit.
How do I get to know about ZOC?
So ZOC has got a strong social media presence from our social network. I think the first homepage is our website www.zoc.org.zw, where you can go on that website, and I'm sure you'll be able to get more content on who we are, what has been going on, what have we been doing in the past, and I think more importantly as well, on our social media, we have got a strong presence on our Facebook and a strong presence on our Twitter page as well.
Okay.
So areas where we converse a lot, and I'm sure we would have share this platform.
Okay, is it zoc.org.zw?
Yes, zoc.org.zw.
Looks like
and
the
also Zoc ZW on Twitter. It's also Zoc on Facebook. On Twitter we are Zoc ZW. On Facebook we are Zoc Zim Online Content Creator.
Yeah, I think there is a problem with the site.
We'll definitely look into that.
Yeah, the site cannot be reached.
Yeah, apologies about that. I wish I could fully give details on that, but I'll get in touch with the technical team over that issue.
All right, and then what he's saying does not make sense. Fake and biased news can be dished out by the state as well, based on the state interests. What are you going to do? What are you going to do about that?
What is the question again?
That the state can be a culprit in distributing content that is fake, that is biased. What is ZOC going to do about it to correct the situation?
Well, remember, we said that ZOC, we are a voluntary organization. It is not our mandate to make sure that the state does not peddle falsehood. That is way beyond our jurisdiction. You know, we are a voluntary association. We deal with our members who are for ethical, who are for factual and for truthful media and content creation. We are not a police media house. Whoever is commenting is completely got me lost. We are not the police media houses against fake news. You should understand what the word voluntary means. We are a voluntary association. We are identifying ourselves with truthful, factual, and credible media houses who say that we are there for factual news. We even outside the state, it is not our interest for us to monitor or police anyone who is outside our association. You should understand the issues of jurisdiction.
Okay, so you are voluntary. Do you have a constitution?
Well, we do not. We do not call it a constitution per se.
And who is the president?
I'm the president.
So if you die today, what is going to happen?
Right. I am deliberately avoiding the word constitution because of the past that I faced with you. But yes, we have a clear roadmap on what is done and the procedures of making sure that the baton is passed from one executive council to the other. I think we have a very much clear.
How are you? Do you have a vice president?
Yes, we do have a vice president. We have a full executive that has been nominated.
So who appoints the vice president?
There are elections that are held every 3 years, and this executive officially term ends. We're going to be having the next election this year as well.
Do you have the power to appoint a vice president?
Mr. Mtunga Mawere, are we still talking about Zoko here? Thank you for it.
No, I'm talking about Zoko.
No, I do not have the power to appoint the vice president, Mr. Mawere.
So
the members they vote for executive members of the executive. So the ordinary members they do vote.
Right. So
the executives.
Thank you very much for clarifying, because issues of constitutions, succession have become so topical that some of us point fingers at others. We live in institutions that are not democratic, but we are the first ones to point fingers at others.
At others as well. No, that's very true. We cannot escape that issue. It's quite topical, and for this, it's best known between me and you. I was hoping today we will never go to constitutionalism, but it's never a risky topic. Any second, we can always dovetail into such issues.
That's right.
We are constitutionally and legally registered as well.
All right. So thank you very much. Any last words?
I think my takeaway is to make other content creators, the present ones, those are yet to come. I would like to just conscientize them on the need to remain factual, the need to remain truthful, and the need to remain ethical, so that we perfect the media sector. There is need for media excellence. I'm sure that is one of the reasons why I was so excited over our media excellence group that you yourself, Mr. Mawere, have been driving towards it.
Maybe you can tell us, how do you find the group? Is it something that I want to be part of this group, or is something you say it's a waste of time, too much data that is going nowhere?
I'll tell you this, certainly there's too much data going on in that group, which personally, I'm usually data hungry, but I'm confessing I've literally failed to catch up. And each and every time when I find a few minutes, I do find myself digressing and trying to catch up in as far as the conversation in that group are concerned. But it's a very important piece of information, and it is a lot of people, most of them brilliant people. I think that is just one good thing and one bad thing about the group, because when you find too much rich mind all in the same place, there's something about diversification and specialization, whereby it becomes a group of experts and professors who really want to dig around everything. Yes, there's been a lot of focus on issues.
Today I don't know whether you noticed it, with an issue about storytelling.
Okay.
That many of our journalists don't know how to tell the story. Even if they belong to the group, there's a lot of content in there, but they can't go even to trace and look at the thread and get the quotations. Like even this show, when we finish here, it's like a condom we throw away. And then we want another show without taking stock of the last one. Agrippa says, Mr. Mawere, we don't want to take him to court for violating their own constitution. That's what we're trying to avoid. So Agrippa is on the ball. He's saying, please make sure you comply with your constitution. Otherwise, Mr. Mashavi, is it Mashavi or what? Will take you to court. So don't be president and then you are afraid to be taken to court. And democracy to prove to be a challenge in Zimbabwe for those who claim to stand for democracy have failed the test. That someone Charles Mzimba. But on the last one, it's just storytelling. Just to tell the story without an argument, just to say, look, I was on this show and today we are talking about this. And there was Mr. Ruseto, he was there, the editor of the Tech magazine, who was interviewed. All these people was on air. We didn't see him, but he was talking about the association, the need for it, and what it seeks to do for professionals. That it becomes a home for professionals to develop their craft. And so far, we've not put standards. We don't measure, but we need to measure so that those with the badge, those generals, we can know them. Have you ever seen a battle that is fought without a general?
No.
Have you ever seen the Catholic faith without the Pope?
Mm-mm.
Yeah. So we need to create our own popes, our own shining stars. And that's why the group exists towards media excellence. So when somebody writes something, the reader, imagine I'm your grandmother and I wanted to know what the show was all about.
Yes.
Yeah. I want to understand what is this all about. We're trying to promote the media. What is the problem that we're trying to solve? That there are many people who call themselves media, doctors, they don't even know what tuberculosis is. They don't even know anything. Some called lawyers, nothing. Yet they are experts at nothing. So how do we build this college of people that after 40 years of independence, we look at the condition of many media people, it's deplorable. Yeah, there's no one to look up to. You're on your own, nigger. You look up, it's dark, it's Africa at midnight.
But I guess it's never too late to try and make sure people and institutions they establish, you know, a place of reference. So it's never too late.
And you know what I just read now? There's Geraldine Moyo. Says, you have wisdom, Mr. Mawere. Unfortunately, it's wasted by your party, ZANU. Now it's my party. Can you imagine?
Mr. Mawere, I think I will need to host you. That issue needs to be discussed. That issue needs to be discussed because I want to understand why is it when people see you, they see ZANU.
I don't know. I mean, I wish I had the face of ZANU, that logo. I don't even know what it looks like, but
Under any ZANU-PF constituency.
I've never been a member. I've never been a parliamentarian. I've never worked for government in my life.
Why is it many people when they see you, they see ZANU-PF, and half the people...
It means ZANU-PF, something wrong with ZANU-PF, that people will see something that doesn't belong. Imagine you are called a Muslim and you're not. Yeah?
Mr. Mawere, let's do this. Tomorrow is going to be a Friday. I want to host you. I want to host you on Tech TV. And I know you have the longest story on Shabani Mashaba mine and the issues of constitutionalism and the inflexible attachment you have got with ZANU-PF as a political party, and of course your very much close relationship with the Makambas, and I know also with other people as far as the Zimbabwe fuel system is concerned. I would deliberately not state any names, but I think let's talk about that. Why is you, Mr. Mtumwa Mawere, why inextricably attached to the party?
Not attached, alleged to be attached. And you are saying, when people make allegations, you would ask Geraldine, how does a party belong to somebody? Yeah? No, I'm just saying is why would somebody see something?
What?
They say, Godfrey says, it's because you're young what? Your young brother, that's my older brother. He was an MP. But not me.
Okay.
So
your older brother was an MP.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, so he is not me, he is the MP.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think it becomes a bit difficult for people to then separate you and your relationship that you've
No, but my brother is my brother. He is his own man. He stands on his own ground. But why should the person who alleges? Yeah?
I do not know about. I've never heard about your brother. I only know you. So trust me, 80% of the people, they don't even know your brother. They know.
No, but why did they give me credit for something I've not earned? You know, to be an MP, it's not easy. And now I harvest where I have not sown. Just because Geraldine Moyo wants me to harvest.
I'm sure we can execute the dream. He's not the only person.
So
He's not the only person of that top set. But
no, I'm just saying, can you see the challenge that is there?
no, the challenge is true. That's what I'm saying. Let's start from weight or start from weight. I think I'm going to have a whole month. I don't mind. I want to host you on TechMake TV for a month. Let's start from where it started.
I think now you because I don't want to host a show because sometimes I don't even know who I'm talking to.
I want to host you. Let's start from where you started and where it all started. Your good days with the government.
No, let's refused. I don't want me to be the subject. I want issues to be the subject of conversation.
We'll get to
No, I'm saying. I'm not talking about constitutionalism. I want to learn something because what has happened, if you're an editor of tech, that's your life. But I want to know what time it is for an editor in Zimbabwe today in a divided country where Geraldine says something. And Geraldine genuinely believes I am ZANU, that I got blood called ZANU. Can you imagine? I have a kidney, liver, heart called ZANU PF. Then I said, where is this Mr. ZANU PF? I can't see him. I can't see her.
You are passionately disassociating yourself.
No, I can't disassociate from something that exists. I'm wearing a shirt, but I can't dissociate. You say, oh, you're wearing this. But then somebody says, you are ZANU PF. Then I don't see the ZANU PF in me. I wish one day we will arrive at a stage where we understand each other. It's not just me who says it, but when you repeat something that is said, then what is it about you, Geraldine? Stand on your feet and refuse to be part of fake news. If your facts, search the facts, go to the inbox of that person and ask, you made an allegation that Mawere is related to ZANU PF. And how did this business? We've set up a WhatsApp group where people have been shared. Some have been embarrassed, making allegations that were unfounded. That I got it through a government guarantee, and all that is hogwash for people to find an excuse of expropriating assets or confiscating, taking power like a coup d'etat. Somebody was told, my friend, while I'm taking power, you are surrounded by criminals. I thought, Geraldine, you have seen criminals by now. I was surprised to see Professor Moyo, called G40, on a motorbike, going to Mozambique, with no sirens, nothing. But before he was booted out, he was a feared man. Kasugwere, Muzembe, they all are. Aren't you worried that a country that wants to lift itself out of poverty can see this? We are silent. If it can happen to somebody, it will happen to you, Geraldine. When we talk about constitutionalism, Geraldine, it's not because I want constitutionalism myself or I want my companies back. No. I'm saying let's learn from the stories of others. Let's learn to tell stories in an interesting manner, in a sexy manner, rather than ask me about nonsense. I use ZANU PF. What is that? Imagine a vehicle. Have you ever seen a car? You know why they call it a vehicle? Tony.
Yes,
A pedestrian doesn't need a car, you know that. No, a subsistence farmer doesn't need a car, you know why not? Because everywhere where he goes, he can reach without a car.
correct.
So I only need a car to take me somewhere. But if I don't have somewhere to go, what is a car to me?
Yeah.
It's just an object. Like ZANU PF, it's a vehicle for its members. So I would go and check on the member register to say, let's go and check Secretary for Administration who is in charge of membership. Then I go and check a list. If I find in the history of ZANU PF somebody from ZANU PF, I'll then bring him to your show to say Mawere joined on this date, paid his member dues, and was a member from this day to that day. But how can you ask somebody to denigrate a party of members? Because the members who join ZANU PF are human beings like me.
Yes.
Why would I seek to distance myself? My own brother was an MP. He's a member of the Central Committee, but not me. You understand?
Yes.
But I can't make choices for him. But once he has made choices, I respect him. He doesn't stop being my brother. Then I call him ZANU PF brother. Huh?
It's Mawere, let's get back to the
Okay.
of the role of the media. Let's get back on track on the role of the media.
We are already playing the role and now you're saying let's get back. That's the kind of nonsense that is in the air. This is media. We are talking about the media. Geraldine is concerned about this. You know what Geraldine is saying now? That's true.
Yeah.
Mawere. That's all. At least we've reached to one person.
We've reached one person.
And if we can do that, then we have done now for the day, Geraldine. Next time you know that ZANU PF is like a highway. Many motorists use it. Some who are dead, they used it. Because they are using it to get somewhere. If it's to get to the public place, they are in the public place. Yours is to put roadblocks for them. So that they don't get there fast or get comfortable. And one victim is too many, one too many. So all we are saying is, let's do shows that enlighten people, that provoke them into positive thinking, not to hate their own brothers and sisters as if they are animals. Imagine when people who hate others get into government. Can you imagine what kind of government that would be? Would you want to be in that country divided by beliefs, by convictions? That if I'm a Methodist, I'm competing with an Anglican. Therefore, this country must be for Methodists.
No.
Would you want to be in that country?
No, it shouldn't be like that. Let me take you to just a quick, interesting development that happened 2 days ago. I think as far as the media sector is concerned, I think people want to speak about this. You know, there was a statutory 88 of 2020 that was which now officially gazetted, especially under this COVID pandemic, where media houses have been allowed to operate and carry on with their duties unhindered. Trust me, this has been a development that we greatly celebrate today in Zimbabwe, Mr. Mawere.
Are you celebrating that there's COVID or what? And that you are allowed to be exceptional, what?
We are celebrating.
That you are now essential, designated essential services.
Yes, that is an acknowledgement for us. That is an acknowledgement of is a critical role. Remember, a few days back, we had 2 cases in the High Court. One of the cases that was being battled against with the Media Institute of Southern Africa, MISA, was whereby he was challenging the police against harassment of journalists and media houses. Various practitioners have been arrested for doing their constitutional obligation for covering this pandemic because they've been told to be at home like everyone else.
Okay.
We
so if
strongly think that we are for the state and allowed to stay on.
Okay, if I were to close the media for one day, what would be the loss to society, the Zimbabwean media? Just to say lockdown, don't work at all.
A typical example of me and you not supposed to be legally doing what we are doing.
No, I'm saying what would be the loss? Like some people are listening here, some have been with me for an hour, I didn't force them.
That's exactly the point. That's what I'm saying.
No, I'm saying, is there a loss to society?
Definitely a great one. That means that we are not getting the opportunity to converse and let Zimbabweans know the story on ground. Right now, I'm sure there's one hot topic that's going on where we have 6 Zimbabweans that have returned from the United Kingdom. These guys have been deployed at Belvedere Teachers College. We're supposed to be there to tell the story. How are the conditions right there at Belvedere? How do you tell a story when you're not even allowed legally to operate? You're not even allowed legally to be where they are. See,
okay. So you are saying there's value in Zimbabwean media?
More than value.
Just to tell how bad the government is.
Not how bad the government is. Inform the people on what is going on the ground. Simple and straightforward. Be it bad, be it good, be it serious or be it not serious. Zimbabweans have a right to know. Not everyone should be a journalist. Journalists who have demanded to do that act is their duty unhindered. Okay,
so I take your word, but there are people who are also saying the Zimbabwean media is infested with propaganda, innuendo, superstition, speculation, and a lot of confusion. And if one day we could pray that the media just shuts up, Zimbabweans will be more united.
Is he saying Zimbabwe is disunited because of the media?
That the media is unfocused, they don't know what time it is. Otherwise, the media cannot analyze what happened. The media can't locate where the woods are from the trees. That the media is full of parasites, mosquitoes, grasshoppers, people who sing for their own supper, unprincipled.
Well, that statement needs to be substantiated. We cannot have a single example then becoming a blanket overall for separate circumstances. However, one bad rotten apple does not have the right to make the whole basket rotten.
That you are mediocre at best, and the worst case is.
There could be definitely some sense of mediocrity in some stories, but it doesn't. Is mediocre. I think that would be very unfair to say that.
No, these are observers. You know, when dogs bark like me.
I'm responding to observers.
I'm just saying. Now I need to put you on the spotlight. Are you excellent, average, mediocre yourself? And I'll give you questions to answer.
Well, it is never a wiser thing to beat your own drums. That question should not be answered by us. We produce a product. Let the we can't say we are perfect. We can't say we are mediocre. What we know, we have a mandate to take. Our duty and our role is to produce a product. Once we send a product to the consumers, then the consumers are the ones who test it better. If our bread doesn't taste fresh, well, it's within the mandate of the consumers. We can't beat our own drums.
All right, so I will be on your show and I'll be answering all the questions, including the ones I think journalists should research on first. And if you are talking about Mawere, please just put the first. And I'm not the only Mutuma Mawere, you know that. Yeah, so you discover that I'm not the only one Mutuma Mawere. There are other people who have named in the Mawere ecosystem. They have given the same name to their children.
After you, I praise.
No, I was given after someone.
Oh, okay. I'm sure you have managed to take the name forward, but you are a very interesting. I know you have always wanted to shy away from the media to discuss you as an individual. But trust me, you are a headline in the name that each and every single media house would also be excited to say, okay, can we at least approach a moment of time, not the whole show? To
you know what you got? Peter Mtisi said, Tone is excellent, Mutuma Mawere average, the rest mediocre. I think he's a big politician, Peter. But I think that's where we can end. So you are excellent. You have been given a distinction because
I'm greatly honored to have such a follower that is just saying that pleasure is all mine. We thank you so much for giving us such a feedback. Hopefully we'll perfect.
Yeah, you know why they give you excellent, right? Why Peter gives you excellent?
I wish I knew.
Because they say Mawere covers the opposition to the alliance and Toneo covers the alliance people. So the only way the alliance can meet is where Mawere meets Toneo. You understand? So we have shown the country that what divides us is so small than what unites us. If we can have Toneo and he can talk to Washman Nube, Coltat, Betty, who may not even want to talk to me because they would rather thrive with me, ZANU-PF. Then we can bridge the divide. So, Peter, let's have people who can cross over so that issues are discussed as issues. That history is the story of somebody.
Yes.
If you want to have my autobiography, you have it. But it has nothing to inform what the future looks like.
But the future cannot be approached with the past.
No.
The past is also important.
You know what they say about the past?
Yes.
The past is what? Has no memory because it doesn't repeat itself. But what we do today has the capacity to shape what other people can do today and tomorrow. It is how we organize ourselves, how we sharpen our minds, how we become critical of the obvious, so that our criticism can find better expression in the ears of those who may not like the truth. So facts don't have legs. They remain what they are. And whatever happened, happened. But what will happen depends on what we do today. Because we have the power to change society. And the interview with Mawere is like a PhD defense. Thought-provoking. John says, imagine somebody says, I've been provoked, my mind is open for provocation. But I don't use a bullet to do that. Using words like Martin Luther King, like those who spoke before us, the philosophers of yesterday, they were able to imagine a future without living it. And some of them are called founding fathers just for the seed that creates an environment that speaks to the human spirit. The past doesn't speak to the future. It remains what it is. We can't change it. We can't alter it. It remains stubborn. But the future, Toneo, is what we are looking for. People who challenge us today, not to be storytellers of things that will not come back. We talk about the Reconstruction Act, not that we want it, but so that people may know what not to do, not what to do. Because the good things don't find favor in journalists. They are looking for scandals. They are looking for negativity.
Controversy sells in the media, Mr. Mawere. Controversy.
That's right. So let's stop that. Let's have positivity. And then let's talk about the future that is possible. And the rule of law that we need to secure that future.
Correct.
Because you know what somebody said in 1931? He said the opposite of poverty is not wealth. You know what he meant? The opposite of poverty is not wealth.
Okay.
Yeah. Because poverty is not a condition, it's not a disease, it's not status. Because I can see you poor today, tomorrow you're a billionaire. Human beings are elastic. Life can take you up and down, but you remain you. Wealth is a product of effort. But if you are going to have effort and want to lose it, because the power of animal is in government, it becomes an animal kingdom. Imagine you've worked hard in your craft and you are blessed to convert your effort into material things. And somebody doesn't like you, and he's a powerful person in your government. What is wealth? Why would anyone work hard to be able to get those material things only to lose them to somebody else who has not worked for them?
Profound.
Yeah?
Profound.
So we need creation, but there needs hope. You know, faith is the biggest driver of the human spirit. Go to somebody in Libya and you say, where are you going? He says, I'm going to Europe. Then you say, where did you come from? I came from Nigeria. Can I take you back there? He says, my friend, look at my back. There are scars. I have come this far not to go back.
Can I ask you a random question, Mr. Mawere?
Yeah.
Are you planning or do you foresee yourself coming back to Zimbabwe?
You know how long I've been in Zimbabwe? I've never left Zimbabwe. You know, all the things that I'm credited for, I was not in Zimbabwe, you know that.
Really?
I left Zimbabwe in 1988, July 1988. I've never received mail in Zimbabwe, you know that.
Okay.
Huh?
Interesting.
Yeah, so please do your research. If you find a house, let them take you there to say it's vacant, because they confiscated my house that was being rented. Did you know that?
They know what, sorry.
That I got houses that were taken by this confusion called reconstruction. Imagine take my personal house.
They took your personal house?
Yeah.
SMM.
It has nothing to do with SMM. It was rented. I bought it before I left the US.
And who now owns those houses?
Not all, I don't know whether they've changed the ownership, but this is what your government can do. Imagine, but they're collecting rent.
Why would they want to attach your house?
That's what the story is. Go and take the picture and say, this is Mawere's house. Where are the title deeds? Imagine your own government and you work hard to build a house, a home.
I can't wait. I'm avoiding.
No, don't talk to me, but do research. Be the agent of change. Check. Call Guarazimba. What is this house? Who owned it? How did you acquire it? These farms, they bought about 8 farms that are derelict. You know that. Precious farms. They were just taken. But people think SMM is about mines, about asbestos mines. There's more. CFI, Zimri. Somebody called me in Swaziland. He says, Dala, I was working for you. I said, where? He said, Victoria Foods. Another one says, I was working for you. Where? Schweppes. You understand? Yeah?
Yes.
Yeah. And I don't know these people, but they say, Mawere worked for you, you're a good boss. But I don't know. I've never been, nobody ever reported. I said, did you ever see my office? No, Mr. Mawere. But we just knew you were there. Yeah, but I was never there.
You still have any control of any one of these firms?
They were part of, you have not read the Reconstruction Act. Read it, my brother. Then you see how evil wealth can be destroyed. Poverty is not the opposite of wealth. You need the rule of law to create wealth. You can't create wealth in the animal kingdom. Have you ever seen a fridge in the animal kingdom? Yeah? Have you ever seen a fridge?
No.
Or a donkey with a ring? But there's gold. Why are the donkeys not calling our minerals, our land? Have you ever seen a donkey running around saying, please pay me a royalty?
Not at all.
Yeah, but it's human beings. And that's what this show is about. Who is going to report that? We can't be animals. Because we know what animals are. They won't have a car. They don't need a car. If they're hungry, what do? They just eat you. With no consequence. And you are allowing the issue of SMM to be treated like this. That is ZANU Mawere, ZANU PF. Then it deserves. You know what Timber was saying today? That Mawere deserves the loss. You are ZANU PF. Imagine. And one wonders what kind of change. And these are the people who surround other people, lying to them that you are great, you are sent by God. Yet meanwhile, they are little monsters.
Interesting.
Okay, thank you very much.
I do appreciate. Thank you for it. It's exactly 1 hour. You have managed to push us into exactly 59 minutes, 59 seconds. But I do appreciate. Thank you so much, Ms. Mawere. Let's do this the next time, and let's dig into more and more issues so that we try and help Zimbabweans fully understand what's going on. But I do appreciate.
No, thank you very much, and good night or good morning.
From Zimbabwe, this side around is good night.
Okay. So on that score, thank you if you are watching out there. That's your show. It's unscripted. Just talking, just having a conversation, just downloading. There is no compulsion.
Next time we'll call this show Conversation with Mawere.
That's all.
I think that's just years.
Yeah, that's all. There is a conversation. We don't need anything, just to have a conversation, open-ended. We have nothing to prove, nothing to gain. We're not here to change society. We're here just to talk among ourselves. If you are touched by what we share, so be it. If you are not, you think I'm an idiot, it doesn't make me an idiot. If you think I'm a monkey, just call me a monkey. I won't convert into a monkey. I'll just remain me. And there's nothing that I can do to change you. So don't invest in changing me. Let ideas battle ideas. Let's negotiate with knowledge. Knowledge conquers everything. Ignorance divides people. And those who claim to know more, when they know nothing, they destroy those who know nothing. Imagine those who climb so high in society have never left. Somebody lives for America, but his mind is in Zimbabwe. And every day he's talking about Zimbabwe, 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 as if he has no life where he is. I got a life here. And some people say, when are you coming back? As if you sent me out. If you send me out, then bring me back the same way you took me out. But if you don't know me, please respect me and my choices. But I can change. I've been out of Zimbabwe, established the institutions. Imagine people still call me. They argue with me that you were in Zimbabwe, you were working in Zimbabwe, you were chased by Mugabe. I never was chased. I never worked. I never received a salary. You can go to Zimra and check. When did I last receive salary? 1988 in Zimbabwe. But how many?
I was 4 years old.
Yeah.
I was 4 years old when you last received it.
Yeah.
You are now preempting. You are now preempting my show. You know, I will not allow you to continue.
No, I'm just saying that's not the show. The show is about issues. Let's have issues.
I know.
But how many people know me better than I do know myself? I was laughing at one person today. He's arguing with me about my own life.
They know you better.
Yeah. And I say, when did you substitute me? But he doesn't have a date. But that is the...
It's 1 hour, 3 minutes.
Thank you.
No, I fully appreciate all the time. We need to do this once more again when we've got more people who are actually...
Let's just have a conversation. Don't worry about the show. Let's have a show that you chair.
Fully appreciate it.
And then you never know. In 2001, you know what I did? I had a show that I hosted in Zimbabwe called Talk to the Nation. You know what Jonathan did?
Yes.
He phoned the ZBC to say, please, get Mawewe off.
Really?
Google. I went to court and won the case. And Jonathan was worried that this show would educate more people and we're in trouble. Because he doesn't control me. And he wanted a show that he controls. So
that's very sad.
That's what he wanted. And today he's a Democrat. But those who can talk, you can Google is there. Yeah. So no, thank you very much.
No, thanks to you, Mr. Mawewe.
All right.
I fully appreciate. Thank you for the time.
All right.
Look forward to our next conversation.